Ladies and gentlemen, today we're skipping the small talk and going straight into the real tricks to manifest wealth, like you were born for it. You do not become wealthy by chasing money. You become wealthy by assuming the feeling of already possessing it. This is the eternal truth that has been buried beneath effort, logic, and toil. Look around you. Every man and woman who has risen beyond circumstance did not wait for proof. They felt truth within and lived from it, not toward it. Now I ask you, do you dare to feel rich before your senses confirm it? Because that is the great secret. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. If you are thinking wealth while feeling lack, the feeling will win. But if you think wealth and feel its warmth, its freedom, its presence, its divine sufficiency, then you have planted the seed in fertile soil. The world cannot help but echo it back. The law is simple. Think, feel, and receive. But you must think from the desire, not of it. Thinking of money keeps it distant. Thinking from money, living as the one who already has it, brings it forth. What would you do if you had already received everything you desired? How would you walk, speak, breathe, rest? Let that image crystallize. Then do it. Not next month, now. Feel that life, enact it inwardly. You see, imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the womb of creation. When you feel something deeply and consistently, you impress it upon the subconscious, and the subconscious must externalize it. This is not superstition. It is law. Spiritual law, immutable, unbiased, impersonal. Feel the wealth, picture the account full, but more importantly, feel the relief, the confidence, the generosity that flows from such abundance. Make that feeling familiar. Let it become your dwelling place. Fall asleep in it. Wake up in it. Return to it over and over again until it becomes your new natural state. The moment you receive it in imagination, you are its owner. Time may be required for the bridge of events to unfold, but that is not your concern. Do not wait for the money to feel wealthy. That is inversion. The truth is, feel wealthy and the money will come. Because money is a shadow. The feeling is the source. This is how you create wealth. Not by laboring under duty or by competing for scraps, but by assuming your rightful place as the one who already possesses all. What you claim in feeling, you command in form. Your inner state determines your outer wealth. This is not metaphor, and it is not theory. It is law. Everything that appears in your external world is nothing more than the outpictured reflection of your internal condition. The money you hold, the job you occupy, the opportunities that arrive or don't, are all mirrors responding to the state you live in most consistently. And a state is not merely a thought. A state is a union between your beliefs and your feelings. It is a home you return to repeatedly, often without even realizing it. If you constantly see lack, if you constantly feel anxious about money, if your dominant thoughts are how will I ever afford that, or I never seem to have enough, then regardless of how many hours you work, how many ideas you chase, or how hard you try, your reality will only serve to confirm that inner feeling of not having. Because you cannot escape your own inner atmosphere. You carry it everywhere. It colors everything. Life does not respond to your outer effort. It responds to your inner dwelling. Now imagine the one who is truly wealthy. Not someone trying to become wealthy, but someone who already is. How do they think? Not of money, but from it. They do not worry if they can afford a thing. They know. They do not wonder whether money will come. They trust. They walk in certainty. And more than that, they feel the power of ownership, the peace of security, the joy of sufficiency. And because they feel that way, they attract more of it, not through willpower, but through alignment. This is the great reversal. Your wealth does not come and then make you feel secure. You feel secure, and then wealth comes. Or this is why some who receive sudden riches lose it just as quickly, because the outer reality changed, but the inner state remained rooted in lack. They never shifted their consciousness. They never truly felt rich. They merely had money, but not the consciousness of money. And life, like a perfect servant, took its orders from the state they kept returning to. It is not about pretending. It is about shifting your center. If you are always thinking, I need more, then you are living in a state of needing, and life will reflect back more things to need. But if you train yourself gently and patiently to think and feel, I have enough, I am supported, my needs are met, not just as words but as felt truths, then you will begin to dwell in a new state. And from that state, new people, ideas, and chances will rise up to meet you without strain. This is why imagining is so powerful. When you imagine yourself already having what you want, when you feel the relief, the joy, the confidence of wealth before it appears, you are setting yourself into a new state. You are no longer hoping for wealth, you are becoming it in consciousness. And consciousness is cause. But the shift must be genuine, not just intellectual. You must train the body to feel it. You must rehearse it in your mind until the mind accepts it as natural. You must become so familiar with the feeling of wealth that your nervous system no longer reacts to circumstances as though they control your fate. When your emotions no longer fluctuate with the bank account, you are close. When you can smile with peace, even in moments that once triggered fear, then you are free. Because freedom is not what money gives you. Freedom is what creates the money. You can start right now. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if I truly had all the money I needed, what would I do today? How would I feel walking through the world? How would I carry myself, speak to others, treat myself? Begin to answer not just with words but with emotion. Let that version of yourself breathe. Let them walk through your mind as if they are already you, not a character in a fantasy, but your true self, uncovered. This is not about escaping reality. It is about shaping it. The world around you is not fixed. It is plastic, malleable, obedient. It bends to the shape of your inner assumptions. If you assume yourself to be poor, if you assume money is always a struggle, if you assume wealth is for others, you will live those assumptions out. But the moment you shift your inner claim, the moment you say I am prosperous, and dare to feel it deeply, even if the world says otherwise, then the seed is planted, and like all seeds it must be watered. With repetition, with quiet confidence, with patience, you return to it, again and again. You remind yourself, even when the bills come in, even when doubt knocks on the door, that your inner state is more powerful than your outer facts. Because the facts are old news, they are the shadows of your past thinking. But you are now writing a new script. Don't worry about how the wealth will come. That is not your task. Your task is the state. Life will take care of the means. Your only work is to become inwardly rich, and as that richness becomes your dwelling place, the outer world will have no choice but to mirror it back, faithfully, beautifully, inevitably. Thinking and feeling from wealth creates it. This is a truth that doesn't belong to any one philosophy, yet it governs all of life. Most people are taught to think about wealth, to wish for it, to work tirelessly in hopes that one day it might arrive. But thinking about wealth is not the same as thinking from it. There is a world of difference between the two. To think from wealth is to shift your identity. It is to live as though what you desire is already yours. It is not a trick of the mind, but a transformation of the self. When you think from wealth, you no longer ask questions like, will I have enough? Or when will money come? Those questions only arise when you feel separate from what you want. But if you already have it, truly have it in your imagination and in your feeling, you don't ask when it's coming. You know it's yours. You walk in it. You speak from it. You rest in it. Most people wait for the outer world to give them permission to feel wealthy. They wait for a job promotion, a sale, a contract, a check, some kind of external evidence to prove that they're abundant. But the outer world doesn't work that way. It is not the source. It is the mirror. It only reflects what you are already being. If you want it to reflect wealth, you must become wealthy inside, long before the evidence appears.
You can't fool life. You can't say, I feel rich, while secretly worrying about every bill and doubting every opportunity. The feeling must be real. It must be nurtured, and it must be practiced until it becomes natural. But here is the beautiful thing. You are not bound by your past. You are not trapped by your current bank balance or the job you're in. Your future doesn't unfold from your past. It unfolds from the state you occupy now. Right now, in this moment. So what does it mean to think and feel from wealth? It means you step into the identity of someone who already lives in abundance. You ask yourself, if I had everything I desired, how would I think today? How would I move? What choices would I make? You let your imagination answer. You allow your emotional body to absorb that answer. And you begin to show up in life as that version of you. This doesn't mean you go spend recklessly or pretend you're someone you're not. It means you change the tone of your inner world. Instead of worrying about not having enough, you begin to trust. You feel the presence of support. You feel a calm certainty that what you need always finds you. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with consistency. You must become deeply familiar with the emotional atmosphere of wealth. What does it feel like to walk through your day knowing that money is not a problem, that your needs are met, that you have more than enough to give, to invest, to explore? Let that version of reality grow inside you. Visit it in your mind every day. Sit with it until the emotions come. And when they come, let them root, because it is that emotional tone that creates the pathway for real change. Your thoughts and feelings are creative tools, not passive reflections of what is. When you think in alignment with fear, lack, or anxiety, you reproduce more of it. But when you think in harmony with wealth, joy, and sufficiency, you begin to generate a different pattern. The thoughts are important, but the feelings are the key. Feeling is what activates your inner world. Feeling is what impresses the subconscious. Feeling is what opens the gate between the invisible and the visible.
So if you want to live in wealth, you must feel from it, not just think about it as a distant goal. Begin to feel what it's like to already be the person who receives effortlessly. Imagine paying your bills with a sense of gratitude and power. Imagine giving generously and freely without fear. Imagine looking at your accounts and feeling peace, not panic. You might say, but that's not my reality. And to that the answer is, your current reality is only the echo of past thinking and feeling. It is not the limit of what's possible. It is not fixed. It can be changed. But the change must begin in you. When you imagine vividly and feel it as true, you begin to create a new blueprint inside. That blueprint becomes the signal you send to life, and life responds accordingly. It sends people, opportunities, ideas, and solutions that match your new signal. You do not need to force these things to happen. You only need to remain faithful to the inner state. You are not waiting for wealth to come. You are allowing it to catch up to the new version of you. Let this become a daily practice. Sit quietly, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and step into the scene of your fulfilled desire. Make it real. Walk through it. Hear the sounds. Feel the textures, taste the freedom, and most importantly, let your emotions rise to meet the scene. Let the joy of already having fill you. That is the secret doorway. When you do this consistently, your inner world changes, and when your inner world changes, your outer world must follow. Life always meets you where you are internally. So choose to be in the state of wealth, not later, not someday, now. This is where the real creation begins. Assumption of abundance precedes manifestation. That means before you can ever hold something in your hand, you must first hold it in your mind, and not as a dream or a distant wish, but as something already yours. Most people get this backwards. They wait for something to appear before they allow themselves to feel that it's real. But life does not work that way. What you experience in the outer world is only a shadow cast by your inner belief. If you want the shadow to change, you must change the source of the light. Assumption is more than thinking or hoping. It's the quiet inner claim that says, this is who I am now. This is what I have now. It is a state of being. And states are not built on what your senses show you. They're built on what you accept as true, regardless of the evidence. You can look at an empty bank account and still assume abundance. You can walk through a difficult season and still carry a feeling of plenty. Why? Because your current facts are not your fate. They are simply the harvest of old seeds. New seeds, planted in faith, will bring forth a new harvest, but only if you do not dig them up with doubt. You might say, how can I assume abundance when I'm struggling to pay rent? And the answer is, you must begin where you are. The world will tell you to be realistic, but realism is just loyalty to the visible. Creation, however, begins in the invisible. So even if your world shows lack, you have the power to assume wealth. Not out of delusion, but out of decision. You decide that from this moment forward, abundance is your truth. You may not yet see it, but you feel it, you believe it, and you begin to live from it. Assumption does not require proof, it creates it. Once you assume a thing and persist in that assumption, the world begins to shift. Circumstances rearrange, people show up, paths open that you couldn't have forced even if you tried. But this only happens when your inner conviction is stronger than the noise around you. The one who assumes abundance before it's visible walks in a kind of calm authority. Not loud, not boastful, just steady. Steady in the knowledge that life must reflect back the state they live in. Now this isn't about repeating words or staring at vision boards all day. This is about entering the emotional experience of having. That is the real assumption. If you want wealth, you must feel what wealth feels like. And it's not just about luxury or material things. Wealth feels like freedom. It feels like peace, like the ability to say yes to life. It feels like waking up without fear. That's the feeling you want to anchor into. That's what must become your new normal. And here's the mystery. Once you truly live in the feeling of already having, you begin to need less. You stop chasing. You stop grasping. And that calm detachment is magnetic. You are no longer begging life for scraps. You are walking as someone who already has what others are still looking for. That inner change is subtle, but it is everything. The one who assumes abundance moves differently. They make decisions differently. They carry themselves differently. And life responds to that difference. It's not about pretending. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about understanding that your current experience is just one possibility out of infinite ones. And if you want to shift to a new possibility, you must inhabit the version of yourself that lives there already. You must walk as the version of you that has already received. That version doesn't wonder if it will work. That version doesn't check the clock or the calendar. That version is full, satisfied, whole. And it's that fullness that draws more. You can begin with something simple. Ask yourself each day, what would I do today if I were already abundant? Maybe you would walk slower, breathe deeper, speak more confidently. Maybe you would treat others with more generosity, more patience. Begin to act in alignment with that version. Begin to speak and think and feel from that place. And as you do, the assumption becomes solid. It moves from a wish to a knowing. And when you know something internally, the world has no choice but to bring it forth. Every change begins in imagination. Every new chapter begins with an unseen assumption. The world outside you can only reflect what you assume to be true within. So assume wisely, assume boldly, not with tension, but with quiet certainty. There is no need to force anything. Just be it inside, live in that new self, make that your dwelling place. And what you assume with feeling and persistence will not stay invisible. It must take form, because assumption, real, consistent assumption, is the beginning of every manifestation. Imagination is the spiritual mechanism of receiving. That statement alone, once truly understood, can change the course of a life. It's not your job to chase things down or to convince the world to give you what you want. Your real work is done in the inner world through your imagination. That is the creative center, the workshop where all things are born. Before anything shows up in your physical experience, it must first pass through the doorway of imagination. Imagination is not something reserved for artists or dreamers. It is the most powerful faculty of the human spirit. Through it you can see what isn't there. You can hear conversations that haven't happened. You can walk through places your feet have never touched. You can feel the emotions of a life that is still invisible. And here is the truth. What you consistently imagine, you begin to receive. Not through luck or chance, but through law. Every invention, every fortune, every breakthrough that has shaped the world was once just an idea held in someone's imagination. It wasn't real yet, not by outer standards, but to the person who held it inside, it was already alive. It already had weight, it already had energy. And because they stayed loyal to that unseen image, it began to take shape in the physical world. You're no different. You have the same power and the same tool. It has always been with you. The problem is, most people don't use their imagination for creation. They use it for repetition. They replay scenes from the past. They imagine what could go wrong. They picture worst-case scenarios. And then they wonder why their life keeps reflecting those states. You must understand, imagination is always at work. It is never off. But it's up to you whether it works for you or against you. Whatever you imagine with feeling is what you are calling into your world. To receive anything, money, love, health, opportunity, you must first receive it in imagination. You must become familiar with the version of you who already has it. This doesn't mean you sit around waiting. It means you live inwardly from that reality and let your imagination be the channel through which it flows. If you desire wealth, you must begin to see yourself as already wealthy, not just with your eyes closed, but in the feeling of your everyday life. You must walk in it mentally before you ever walk in it physically. Imagination is not fantasy. It's not escape. It's the language of creation. You can create a new self-image, a new lifestyle, a new atmosphere around you. And if you do it often enough with emotion and detail, it becomes your new reality. You are not hoping for change at that point. You are accepting it. That acceptance is the signal. That signal calls in the form, in ways you could never logically predict. Every time you imagine, you are planting a seed. And like all seeds, it needs time and care. You water it with attention, you feed it with feeling. You protect it by refusing to doubt it. You don't have to know how it will bloom. You don't even have to explain it to others. You just have to keep the image alive inside you. If you hold it long enough, life will respond. People will appear. Events will unfold. Coincidences will line up. Not because you forced anything, but because you aligned yourself with what was already yours in spirit. This is the secret most overlooked. The receiving begins the moment you believe you already have it in imagination. You don't wait for confirmation. You don't sit in anxiety. You receive it within, quietly and fully. And the outer world, like a faithful mirror, begins to show you the result of that inner receipt. Try it with something simple. Close your eyes and imagine a small win, a compliment, a gift, a payment, a surprise moment of joy. See it clearly. Hear it, feel it. Dwell in that scene. Play it over like it's a memory, not a hope. Then let it go. Don't obsess. Just continue your day as though that thing is already done. And watch what happens. You'll see the principle in motion. You'll feel the link between imagination and experience. And once you see it, even in small ways, you'll know the same process applies to everything, no matter how big. There is no separation between the spiritual and the practical. The imagination is not just a quiet place you visit when life gets hard. It is the birthplace of change, and when you treat it with reverence, when you use it with focus and emotion, it becomes the key to receiving anything you could ever desire. So begin to live in your imagination, not as a place of escape, but as the starting point of your new life. Let it become more real to you than your current conditions. Let it inform your words, your posture, your expectations. And when the world catches up to what you've already accepted inside, you'll know the receiving happened long before it showed up. It happened the moment you believed in the image more than the lack. The moment you welcomed it as yours within. When you put all of this together, you begin to see the full picture, clear, powerful, and undeniable. Your inner state is the soil, and what you grow depends entirely on what you plant and how faithfully you tend to it. Thinking and feeling from the end, from the reality you desire, is not wishful fantasy. It is the act of creation itself. Assume abundance before it appears. Do not wait for proof. Become the proof in thought, in feeling, in attitude. Life responds not to your needs or your effort, but to the state you consistently occupy. And imagination is your sacred tool, the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the mechanism through which receiving begins. You are never without power. The moment you decide to feel the wealth within you, the moment you walk as though it's already yours, speak as if it's done, and imagine from that fullness you have shifted everything. You are no longer chasing results. You are living from cause. The world has no choice but to reflect the conviction you hold. So dwell in that new self. Not tomorrow, now. Think richly, feel abundantly, imagine faithfully, and receive with quiet certainty, for it is already yours.